Whether you're newlyweds, have been married for decades, or are even just thinking about that next step, you know that marriage is a journey. That's right, we're talking about the Bible. Its principles are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago because they speak to the heart of human connection. And his mother, and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. It doesn't mean you cut off your family or friends, not at all. But it does mean that your spouse now takes priority. When you're making plans for the weekend, are you consulting them first? It's about building a fortress of two, where you are each other's number one confidant, advocate, and support system. It says no matter what, it's you and me against the world, and that feeling is priceless. It says love is patient, love is kind, it keeps no record of wrongs. This isn't the romantic, fuzzy feelings kind of love we see in movies. This is a choice. It's an action. It's loving your spouse when they're not particularly lovable. It's choosing to forgive them even when you feel hurt. Marriage isn't a 50-50th contract. If you're only willing to give 50% and wait for your partner to meet you halfway, you'll spend a lot of time waiting. The biblical model is giving 100%, regardless of what you're getting back in that specific moment. This is where forgiveness comes in. We all mess up. We say things we don't mean. We act selfishly. Holding on to grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It only hurts you and your relationship. Ephesians 4:32 tells us to be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. True forgiveness releases the debt and allows you both to move forward, stronger and more connected. Alright, moving on to lesson 3. Serve one another with humility. In a world that often screams, look out for number one, this concept is completely countercultural. But Philippians 2:3-4 gives us a different perspective. It says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Imagine applying that directly to your marriage. What if your first thought in the morning was, how can I make my spouse's day a little bit better today? It could be something as small as making them a cup of coffee, sending an encouraging text during the day, or taking care of a chore you know they dislike. It's about adopting a servant's heart. When both partners are trying to outserve each other, you eliminate so much conflict. The competition becomes about who can love and serve the other more, instead of who is doing more or who is winning an argument. This humility creates an atmosphere of mutual respect and appreciation that allows both individuals to flourish. It's not about being a doormat. It's about being a team where you're both committed to lifting the other person up. Let's talk about lesson number 4. Communicate with grace and truth. This is a huge area where many couples struggle. Our words have immense power. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So how do we communicate well? Ephesians 4:29 gives us the perfect formula. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. It provides a common foundation, a shared set of values, and a higher purpose for your union. You're drawing from an infinite source. When you face challenges you can turn to God together in prayer.